Renia QuickSohl is a very versatile, if lesser known product that Renia produces. This was originally introduced as a repair paste for shoe soles. Think of a sole in a tube kind of product. The idea was to be able to apply this paste directly to the shoe sole, specifically to plastic soles, TPR soles, where no pre-made repair materials existed at the time, to be able to actually replace a worn out sole or add to a worn out sole and then be able to imprint the profile onto this hardening paste here. Now, the downside of that method, of course, it's possible you can do this, but if you wear these shoes outside, especially on concrete or asphalt, the abrasion resistance is, of course, nothing like a vulcanized rubber sole or a leather sole or a plastics TPU or a TPR sole. So that might not be the most useful application here. But this product has some extremely useful applications even in the soling area. One application is to use it to reseal or fix cracks in a plastic sole, as has been done here. Now, of course, this is not a high-end repair, as in really rebuilding a shoe to its original quality and making it last for another couple of years. This is a quick fix to keep shoes workable. In this case, a pair of shoes worn during gardening, during outside work, and just to keep them alive, keep them working, and avoid having to buy a new pair of shoes for these kind of dirty jobs. So it does its job, it keeps the sole sealed, keeps the sole watertight, keeps it together, and yeah, does a good job there. Application number one. Application number two, you can also use it in between materials. So before you put a heel onto an unevenly worn out heel block on a shoe, you can use this to actually even out the surface, create a level surface to actually bond to. Depends a little bit how unevenly worn that heel or that sole is. If you need to build up a layer thickness of more than about 3 millimeters or about 1/8 of an inch, you need to work in multiple steps. So this is the maximum layer thickness that this can hold, about 2 to 3 millimeters or 1/10 to 1/8 of an inch. Other applications include using it as a sealer. So for instance, here the toe box has come loose from this lip of the capsule. So because this is a very difficult spot to bond, we additionally added some of the QuickSohl, the filled variant here and the new unfilled transparent variant on the other side, to reseal this, make it watertight again, and protect it a little bit more against the elements. Now, of course, this looks a little bit ugly here, but in this case that was the point, to be able to show it to you. But because this material can be dyed, painted, finished, buffed in any way you want, this can actually be made to look like the shoe looked before, or at least to look a little more tidy and to actually look pretty good. The extension of this is to use the QuickSohl to actually cover the whole toe box. Why would this be interesting? Well, think of a pair of work boots. You could use this as a protective coating on work boots to begin with, even when they're brand new. Because let's face it, these things are expensive, and what you do with them, if you spend a lot of time working on your knees, you're basically scraping them over concrete, you're scraping them over hard surfaces, and you're eating through the leather and exposing the steel toe cap. And in order to avoid that, and in order to avoid having to buy a new pair, this does a great job to protect that leather, and when it's worn through, well, very easily put on another layer, and that's that. The same technique can be applied in orthopedics as well, because the same thing happens there. You might have a patient who is a spastic or otherwise has the issue of dragging their feet. Of course, they can't do anything about it, that is just how they walk, but you can adapt their shoes to be able to withstand that better, because of course the upper of the shoe is not intended to be walked on or to be dragged over hard surfaces, rough surfaces especially. So what you can do, roughen this up a little bit and apply the QuickSohl. Like I said, maximum 2 to 3 millimeters thick. If you need more, apply a second layer once the first layer is dry, and you have a nice protective coating on that shoe that makes it last a whole lot longer. And if the patient has worn through that, again, just do it again, put another layer on, and that's that. You might save that poor person a lot of cost of replacing their shoes every couple of weeks. Yeah, another interesting application is more in the resoling area, but this time on the inside. Of course, you might be familiar with the issue with many TPR soles with the hollow honeycomb structure inside, that you do not have that much material surface to work on, because of course this is done to save weight, but if you cut through the sole to make a buildup, or if you grind it down to repair the sole, you leave the area where the sole is actually fully formed over the whole surface, and you get into that honeycomb structure, and you actually need to bond to those little pieces of material. So what you can do is you can stuff the inside with paper, with fabric, with leather remnants, with cork, whatever is on hand, whatever makes sense, and then once that is stuffed tightly, you can use the QuickSohl to actually build a solid layer over that, and that would be something that the adhesive that you're using, called the Cologne Syndic Total, would adhere to very well once it's dry. As far as application goes, the same rules apply. Although this is not a contact adhesive, the same preparation rules apply. With leather, you need to be able to get into the fibers, same with fabric. With materials like rubber, like plastics, you need to roughen the surface, grind it, cleaning the surface with things like acetone, with thinner, with our desoling agent also usually helps. Although you need to be very careful on TPR if you do that, because TPR, as you know, is not solvent resistant. TPR should be halogenated with our Renia Gold primer. Same rule as if you were working with a polyurethane based adhesive, because that's essentially what is the base of this, so the same rules apply. Then you would put the required amount on here. Like I said, it's not a liquid, it's a paste. So you would use a spatula or anything to spread it nice and evenly. Let it sit for a minute, 1.5 minutes or so, and then you can actually mold the paste by hand. It has formed a bit of a protective layer, a bit of a skin on the outside, so it won't stick to your hands. Specifically, just use your hands, not a glove, just your hands. It won't stick, and the moisture and the fatty substances on your skin will actually let your hand really slide over it very nicely, very easily, and you can mold it in shape. You can then, if you want to, this is more interesting in the soling area, you can then imprint a profile, a pattern, whatever you like, and then you leave it to dry. Because the layer is about 100 times thicker than your typical contact adhesive layer, contact adhesives make layers of about 20 to 30 micrometers thick. This goes up to about 2 to 3 millimeters, or about 1/10 to 1/8 of an inch. This of course also needs longer to dry. At least 8 hours, overnight is better, 24 hours is even better. Then it should be fully dry all the way, and you could either add a second layer, or you can finish it, you can paint it, you can dye it. This actually takes dye, at least the filled version does, and then you can buff it, you can polish it, and make it look like the shoe looked before, and make it look good. We have several variants of this product available. We have the filled variant with leather dust as a filler in black, in brown, and in white. The white especially is a great base for all these new colors, paints that have become available in recent years. Interesting for modifying sneakers, personalizing, customizing sneakers. You can use the white QuickSohl as a base. It sticks to the fabric, sticks to the leather or plastics, and then the color would work on that. We also have recently introduced a non-filled variant without the leather dust. Basically just a very, very thick PU adhesive, very useful as a sealer, very useful as a protective coating for sneakers, especially for skateboarders, very interesting for that. And this is available in black or in clear. As far as availability goes, this is available through through our regular distributors. Not all of them carry it, just feel free to ask your usual sources. This can be available in hardware stores, really depends on where you look. Of course, many of the distributors also sell this online, but if your regular distributor doesn't have this, just drop us a line. We can certainly help you along so that you can also use this product and achieve some good results with it.